What's going on, guys? Today I got a special guest, Ray Mack. It's been a while, man.
It has. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I was saying it's been full circle since I've been on a podcast with you. So
I know. We used to co-host one together.
So it's nice to be back.
For sure. Glad to have you. I always like to kick these off with what got you started in real estate.
Oh, that's a good question. So realistically, I started off, I was a contractor for 10 years. I worked with a lot of real estate agents. I kind of like to say that I didn't like working with real estate agents as a contractor. Most contractors don't. And a lot of agents kind of talk to me about, my personality and getting into the field. And I didn't really want to do the typical agent door knocking, cold calling thing. I thought that was too salesy for me. Got introduced to Damian from you, and then I was doing some repairs for one of his listings, and I, obviously seen what he does in the higher market. So I was like, I want to do something like that where I'm more of an advisor than I am, some salesman, and not pushing people to buy something. So that's kind of what drove me there. He mentioned, get your license and we'll see what happens. And I, within a couple of weeks after that meeting, I got my license, met him at the Orb Lounge in Greenville. And then 2 or 3 months later, I was on the team. And a couple of years later, now I'm the director of sales. So it's kind of just kind of sped up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you managed to do all that while running 2 different businesses.
Yeah.
Same business, 2 different locations.
Yeah. So McAval Trades, we run Myrtle Beach location for 10 years, and then I brought it up here in Greenville for 4 years now.
That's got to be a huge advantage to your clients, having somebody that has a contractor's, not license, but handyman service, right?
Yeah, no, so I have a specialty contractor's license.
Contractor's license to help on punch list to sell your house.
Yeah, just about anything. So it helps out a lot. I mean, I think that's my biggest separator in the industry is, one, having the knowledge. I would say that the majority of agents don't have knowledge of repairs and house, the actual structure of the home. So having that background is definitely an advantage for my clients on both the buy and sell side. So for sellers, I usually give them a budget to get their house ready for no cost to them. So I just send my crew in, do what needs to be done, whatever it's paint touch-ups, floor repairs, just items like that. And then when the inspection report comes back, I try to knock out a lot of that myself so that they're not paying out of pocket for it or fighting for some credits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Same thing on the buy side. I can help them look deeper into the house. I'm not afraid to get in the attic and crawl space, but really look at the things that the inspector's going to look at or miss, because inspectors miss quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's cool. You talked about earlier how sometimes contractors don't like to work with real estate agents.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a
Yeah,
little
so
bit?
I think that's kind of a pretty common thought in the contractor world. We just don't like agents. Not all of them. Most of them are pretty decent, but a lot of them are not. Mainly because they use you for your time. They ask for quotes to negotiate during the process, and then you never hear back from them. They don't really discuss that with the contractor up front, and then they're just looking for somebody to give them the quote, and then they, that's it. They just disappear.
Yeah.
And it's kind of shady the way they do it. They try to get quotes for free. So most contractors are just I only work with a handful of agents that I know are legitimate. And usually the loyalty is a big thing, because if you call me one time and I don't hear from you for another 10 years and I didn't get the job with you, I'm probably not going to answer that call again.
For sure.
Or I'm going to want some heavy fee up front to do something, because it's always for that repair addendum,
Yeah.
They just want a quote. And if what I do for my vendors, that's one of the strongest points that I like to mention, is that I tell all my vendors up front, whether they're going to get the job or not. And if they're not going to get the job, I'm using it for negotiations. So charge my buyers a fee.
Yeah.
At some point after I've used them so much, they don't. They know that they're most likely going to get another job and going to work it out, or they'll charge the buyer a fee and get the $150, $200 for their time. So I like to let them know that off the bat from being on the other side. So it really has built a big amount of trust in my vendor program.
Yeah, that's got to be huge, because it's all about having good vendors that you can call, especially when you, a lot of stuff in real estate, you need it tomorrow.
Yeah.
When you do actually need the repairs, right?
Yeah, and you don't want to be just looking for some guy and then you find 2 or 3 guys and then you've just found them on Facebook or something, and then they turn out to be, jerks. They don't show up, or they, rip somebody off, or they just don't do the job right. And then it just gets messy and it looks bad on the agent. So my biggest thing, even within the team, has been really grown to the vendor specialist. So every time there's a repair addendum, which I hated repair addendums as a contractor, and somehow they've become my full-time job in real estate, which is whatever. But I mean, now I've learned how to navigate it better. So I think that's really my strongest feature, being a real estate agent.
That's awesome. And so you jumped right into like a luxury brand team, like everybody knows the Damian Hall Group. They just primarily do luxury listings.
Yeah, and that was crazy to think about because I had never been in real estate before, and
a lot of people don't do that. Like they work their way up to it, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely a tough thing, and not a lot of agents can do it. There is a fine line between anything sub 500 and then $1 million plus. It's really like we talked about previously. Is it's going from like sales and the scripts to advisement and really knowing your numbers and really like a fine line between service and how you're like really giving your clients the top tier of customer service, anything they ask for, having that vendor network built behind you, and then going above and beyond. I like to tell my clients, you helped me on this job, but when I sold that horse farm in Taylor's, the client looked at me. He was joking, but he turned around. He's like, "Were you ready to drive a truck full of cattle, to Oklahoma?" And I was like, "Yeah, you gonna pay for dinner and fly me back home?" And he was shook by that, and I was like, "No, you ask, I'll figure it out. If I'm not going to do it, I know somebody that will." And then I called you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll move their tractor or whatever we got to do. Livestock, sure, let's figure it out."
Yeah.
And it's like having that behind you is really what sets you apart. We like to say at Blackstream, the brokerage, is that we provide luxury service at all price points. So there really is a fine line there, and the amount of money that we put out too is tremendous, especially on the listing side.
And a lot of it's up front, right? Like it's before you sell the house. So,
I mean,
pre-commission check.
I think that's one thing most people don't realize about agents is there's a lot of money lost, in whether it's advertising or just helping. Like, I have a client that I'm working with now that they may end up not going through with the deal or not. And I spent money on cleaning the house and painting the house for them, all out of pocket, and then pictures and photos and drone stuff. So anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 up front. And then if they don't go through with the house, it's fine. I'd rather them not, because I don't want them to be forced into something that they don't want. But I end up losing that money.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll work it into the contract if I can.
Yeah.
If I have a shorter listing agreement, or if they're going to cancel a listing agreement, I'll work that into the contract that you are to reimburse me for those items.
Kind of protect you a little bit.
But very rare, because that's kind of stepping away from that luxury service.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that farm move was pretty insane.
It was. So I mean, that house, they priced it high in hopes that they would have time, because they had cattle and donkeys and pygmy goats and this
all
whole working
stuff.
farm. Yeah. And they were basically taking the whole farm and moving it to Oklahoma. So they were like, well, we're going to price it high in hopes that it'll take a couple months to sell, 9 months, whatever it is. We're not in a rush. Well, we sold it in 2 days.
That's insane.
Over ask. And the client bought it cash, and he's like, well, I want it 15 days, And they're like, well, there's no way we can do that. So we pushed it and got it worked out to where they were pretty lenient and opened it up to 45 days. But we basically still had to move a farm in 45 days. So.
we had little hiccups with that tractor. The first guy that showed up with like a 6x12 trailer.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't know I was moving a tractor. But I mean,
we got it figured out,
Yeah.
That was a first for us.
It's always like seeing it through.
Yeah.
And that's like one thing of being with good vendors. Like, we recommend you guys constantly. I actually have a move that I'm going to recommend to you here in a couple of days for a client coming out of North Carolina to Glassy. But I think it's just being with good vendors too. So I think on the construction side, that really helped, because I have vetted all these people beforehand. I think the hardest thing with the transition here was that I went through like 20 or 30 people when I hired, and constant vendors changing in and out of who was decent, who wasn't, who was good to their word and who wasn't, who was overpriced and who wasn't. So now that I've got that worked out, it really helps, because I have the right people behind me.
For sure.
And then I support them, whether it's even just giving them that thankfulness, and saying, the gratitude of like, hey, you've really helped us out here, promoting their business as much as possible, not just getting them paid for that one job.
For sure. How does it benefit the real estate agent to have a good Rolodex of vendors? Like,
I mean, it's
what does that do for you on the customer side, on the client side?
I mean, it's pretty much the entire job. I think most people don't realize that. Like, the negotiations is one thing, getting through, but once that home is under contract, if you can't help on the side of like repairing the house or getting the house done or getting the repair addendum looked at, the other agent's going to come in with some crazy off the wall pricing that they just might have got from somebody or saw somewhere else. I've seen some repair addendums that are like $25,000, and it's like the littlest things.
Yeah.
Just for example, I mean, we just had a pretty rough sale in Greer, right around the corner from here. That was he hadn't gotten inspected when he bought the house, so when he was selling the house with us, he had a pretty rough time because everything come up in inspection from the buyer. Well, he had this leak in the window, and ultimately the window needed to be replaced. But we ended up fixing it properly to where it saved him almost $10,000.
Oh, wow.
Because he was kind of losing money in the sale, and then obviously having to put more money out on the repairs. So, I mean, just wherever we can save the client money on the sell side is great. And then same thing on the buy side. I mean, especially because you can look at that inspection report that flags all these things that makes somebody that doesn't know what they're looking at, like a buyer, just looking at this inspection report, it looks crazy. And being able to break that down for them and be like, this is nothing. That'll take 5 minutes.
For sure.
We can caulk this. You know, it's like
missing a screw in the outlet.
It's really small. The garbage disposal is shattering. Like, let's just tighten it up. You know. So I think being able to put that into perspective helps keep deals alive.
For sure.
And that's good for all people, because even on the other side, when the agent on the other side doesn't really have that background, but I do, I'm known for kind of saving the deal, making it happen, at least keeping it alive and then hopefully the mortgage guy keeps it going and the appraiser comes out right. So
how's the luxury market looking right now?
Right now it's I think it's across the board in the market in general, especially nationally, things have been a lot slower. Pricing is everything. I think you've had that from other agents on the show. I think the overvalue of COVID and the great migration has really finally stopped, at least to a degree. And now we're just seeing prices that were, comps from last year, and everybody thinks their home is more valuable to where it's not. So, really, really setting yourself apart on the pricing, and the marketing is huge. But if the house is perfect, it still has those quick sales, a couple of weeks. But days on market is increasing across the board.
Still?
Yeah. I think it's starting to level out a little bit because agents are starting to, get that through to the sellers. But even still, I just had a client I gave a price to the other day, and they were not happy about it. They're just like, oh, our house is worth so much more. It's beautiful to us. And it's like, well, you got to really take the emotion out of it, because it's only worth that to you because you live there and you built it to that. But at some point, a buyer's not going to see that. Or how do we portray that to the buyer? And compared to all the other homes that have sold around it, how do we really set ourselves apart? And if it's really not great, where do we go from there? And new construction, I think, which is a huge competitor in the regular resale market, the new constructions are offering such bonuses and things like that. But at least on the luxury side, it's not like that, because custom home builders are way more expensive than what you can get a resale home for.
Sure.
So that's beneficial.
Hartness isn't doing like interest rate locks and stuff.
Exactly.
Like that,
So they're not really like giving super incentives, and Glassy's not really, you're not going up there to get some incentive or lower interest rate. And like, you're mostly buying those houses cash. But the problem is stock market is up, but savvy investors, people who have money, know that it's at an all-time high and have cashed out and are holding their money in hopes to buy something. But they're looking at that price to say, well, if it's overvalued and there's no upside to it, it's not a good investment for me. I don't want to buy a house for 1.5 and then 5 years from now it's still worth 1.5. Or less. We had a client that had to get out of a house, and he sold it for less than he bought it for a couple of years later, because he bought it during like 22, and stuff like that.
So do you say are like the luxury side of listings, is it going back to pre-COVID day prices, or is it still kind of just depending on what it is?
I think it's still location? A little higher. You're seeing these crazy prices, which I personally don't think Greenville warrants some of it.
I've seen some of them.
3, 4, 5 million. I'm astonished by what Lake Kiwi can do. One of your agents on here has a lot listed for like 250 6. It's like 1.5 acres.
Just a lot.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And I mean, to me, just especially in Kiwi, there's not much around yet. I'm sure that the investment will be there, but I just don't see it now. And same thing like in Greenville, you know, the high end market's there, but we have seen that overvalued, you know, price point. So I'm hoping that weeds itself out a little bit more, because eventually it will be there. I mean, you have Charlotte that's pulling huge numbers. You have Atlanta that's pulling huge numbers. So eventually that will mesh. Even Asheville's still getting higher numbers in some degree. So eventually that will close itself in, but it's just not. I just personally don't think it's here yet.
Yeah, especially on Lake. I mean, you got to drive forever to get somewhere.
I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't even like working out there anymore on the construction side, because it's just so much of a drive, and it's just like if you got to go to Home Depot, it's a half hour away.
Yeah,
it's a pain. And then same thing. Like I went out there once for a job, and I was trying to buy coffee, and they're like, well, you can try a Subway or the gas station. I was like, "There's no coffee shop." You know, it's like the closest coffee shop was Pickens, which was 20.
You got all these
away.
like multi-million-dollar homes right there. You think somebody to capitalize on
coffee
that.
shop? I mean, I'm sure these houses have, you know, coffee makers.
Yeah,
but like everybody likes to go sit and, you know, drink a cup of coffee. So there's a liquor store that just opened up pretty close by now, and that place is pumping. So
I bet.
I'm like, man, we put a coffee shop right here. This will be legit.
All the allocations. What are some of your favorite like luxury neighborhoods to work in right now?
I would say a lot of our, you know, neighborhoods that we've kind of prioritized in is the Cliffs, Glassy, Valley, and even the Mountain Park. I like Glassy a lot. You know, personally, I like Valley a little bit more. I think it's more, you know, just closer by, the proximity to Travelers Rest and Hendersonville, Greenville, and Asheville. And then just being right on 25 there. I also like the views. You still get some of the views. They have a great wellness center.
Yeah.
Hartness is great. Kind of tough to get in there. I'm not a big fan personally of, you know, the quarter-acre lots.
Yeah, right next to each other.
Yeah. A lot of what we do, though, is in the horse country, Landrum, Campobello.
Tryon.
Yeah, Tryon. So all those big properties, you know, tracts of land with beautiful horse farms is still kind of like our niche.
Mountain Park is my favorite by far when we talking golf courses.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I know Glassy's beautiful.
It is,
but
tough. I'm actually playing Glassy Friday.
Are you? Yeah, and I've always heard it's good. But Mountain Park, I know, is kind of like the better one to play.
I love it.
And their new sports complex.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Insane. So
cool, man. Where do you see Greenville heading as far as luxury market? Like you said, you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier. You know, you got Charlotte, you got Atlanta on this side, kind of immerse in more luxury listings in this area?
I think so. I hope it'll blow up more. I mean, obviously, the closer you get to downtown, the more it goes and gets expensive. Once those, you know, new construction townhomes, because that's really amenities is key right now.
Yeah.
So once those new construction townhomes start getting into resale in the next 5 to 10 years, I think we'll see an explosion in some of that. Some of the custom home builders, hopefully too. You know, I hope that starts building up a little bit more. I'd really like to see what it is in Charlotte. We have some agents we're close with in Charlotte, and the volume and sales numbers are unbelievable. I mean, they're just doing 5 to 10 houses a week that are 1 to 3 million each, you know, and it's like it's not different for them to sell a $5 million house like randomly.
Yeah.
And just the style of it too, you know. I mean, they have a pretty cool, like that modern, like a modern Tudor style homes, really nice.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see more of that. It's definitely coming here. Mayor White always said.
I've seen one of those kind of like modern neighborhoods over in Simpsonville, maybe.
That one is Waterford.
I think so.
Yeah, the one on
like real
off Upper
contemporary
Mountain.
homes.
Yeah. We had clients of good friends of ours that bought in there.
Yeah.
Those are cool too. I mean, and that location, I mean, Five Forks is a powerhouse
for sure. Besides the traffic, but you got everything there.
Yeah. And still sometimes I'm like, I don't understand it, where this money can come from over here. You know, it's like it's kind of chaotic in this little area. But I mean, that's just where people are driven, and that's where the homes are. Cobblestone. We have a couple agents in our office. They just they're the king and queen of Cobblestone area. They kill it out there. You know.
That's cool. I remember growing up, like the extent of the luxury market was like Thornblade and maybe Kingsmore, I think it is, or Kingsbridge.
Yeah, Kingsbridge, Knightsbridge.
Knightsbridge, that's what it is.
And that's still pretty good. I think Thornblade fell off a little bit, and that's because most of the homes are older.
Yeah.
And the problem with those homes, I think luxury since COVID has really stepped into the amenity side of thing. The 5,000 to 7,000 square foot house is not ideal anymore. That's where we're seeing a lot of the people in the early 2000s that are these big McMansions were cheap to build, and now they're kind of phasing out of that or aging out of it because they're two people that thought their whole family would come there, and then they realized in their 80s nobody's visiting.
Yeah.
So now they're looking to downtown more, being around things, walkable, having the pickleball close by.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see a bigger push for that, even with the younger generation. Like, I'm sure you and I don't want a 7,000 square foot home.
No.
Even if I had 4 kids, I just think it's too much.
Absolutely.
It's too much upkeep, it's too much cost. I'd rather have the land. I'd rather have the amenities. So I think that's kind of where everything's going to be leaning. That 3,500 to 4,500 square foot home is kind of ideal.
Yeah.
And then having just something to do around it is perfect.
So let's talk a little bit about the director of sales that you've, I guess, recently stepped into at
No, I think it's
Damian Hall Group.
been a year.
Been a year? Okay.
Oh, it's been a year actually, like to date almost.
Okay.
Like September.
So what does director of sales do?
So I pretty much head up the team. Tyler's our operations has kind of stepped into that just because he likes it a little bit more. But we've grown a bit of a team. So it's Damian, Tyler, and I. Operations. Damian runs the team, and then I'm the director of sales. Mainly, it's my position as being the yes man.
Okay.
So if I'm needed, I'm there. Whatever it is, wherever I am, whatever I can do. Yes, sir.
Let me help you.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got into luxury as a new agent, was just show my loyalty.
For sure.
Show that I'm willing to do whatever it takes and continue that path. So, and then helping the team, we have a lot of systems. Damian is slammed. Right now, we are like super listing heavy, which takes a lot on the marketing side, which is Damian's bread and butter. So my thing is trying to support him, support that team, and then anything they need or anything the management side needs, anything the team needs, kind of really helping that out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and we've got a pretty decent sized team now. We've got 2 agents here in Greenville. One's in Spartanburg, but one in Greenville. Actually, she lives in Onia Village. And then we've got 2 down at the coast, Hilton Head and Beaufort area.
Yeah.
And then we're growing into the other markets soon.
That's
so
cool.
That'll be adding teammates there.
Yeah. What's your favorite branch so far? Like, which one is?
I'm looking forward to Charleston.
Charleston.
Yeah, I want to take over Charleston. The money there is just
insane.
Another ball game.
Yeah.
I think
a lot of old money.
Yeah, those Real Trend ratings came out, and the top 2 were Charleston and then Greenville. And Charleston, it was like 20
for South Carolina or the nation.
For South Carolina.
Okay.
So it was like 27 sides for Greenville or for Charleston, and they did like 135 million volume.
Oh wow!
And then it was like 97 sides and did like 90 million in Greenville. So the amount of work that the number 2 agent had to do in Greenville to get that high versus the amount of work that the person in Charleston had to do was nothing.
Yeah.
And then I have an agent that I'm friends with via Facebook. She does both markets, and she's like, I don't even do luxury, and I have like a $14 million listing on Daniel Island, a $7 million listing in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, it's crazy because the house prices down there are
that's just normal.
Nuts.
Yeah. So I think that's personally something I'd like to get into a little bit more. We kind of say, like the Damian Hall Group, we're going to run the Southeast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's indefinite at this point.
That's awesome.
Our brand's growing, our reach is growing, our marketing's growing. Our team is growing. We have such a stronghold on like standing out from some of the other agents, which is great.
If people are looking to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
Yeah, look me up, Ray Mack, Blackstream Christies, the Damian Hall Group. We really set things apart when it comes to marketing. That's our biggest advantage is we're always looking for the next thing. And now AI is really taken over, so we're putting a lot of effort into learning where we can kind of stand out on that before everybody else does.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.